So the city wants to be future ready, and to do that we think we need to work more with nature instead of against it. So things like rain gardens, what you see behind me, is an opportunity to do that. So the City of Cape Canaveral loves to be on the forefront of innovation, and the city also has a lot of challenges that it has to deal with in terms of sea level rise, urban flooding, outdated development practices, and we're really looking for new solutions that can mitigate and adapt to flooding in the 21st century that don't always involve traditional gray infrastructure. We're looking to do things that involve low impact development, green stormwater infrastructure, things that allow rainfall to stay where it falls instead of running off into other areas such as streets where it can flood or into local water bodies where it can add pollutants.
So the idea is we're trying to capture the water and we're trying to keep as much as we can and infiltrate it into the ground within the higher areas of the city. The way that we used to do stormwater drainage back in the 50s when a lot of the city was built, the idea in those times was you were trying to get the water off the landscape as fast as possible out into the estuary. So that would be the lagoon. And that worked for drainage, kind of. And so now we fast forward 70 years into the future, we've had issues with sea level rise, we have issues with water quality, and the idea of pushing water that has all of the stuff from our roads, from our yards, any of the material that's within the city, and directly sending that into the estuary, that's not very good for water quality. And so the idea is you want to take the water, if you put it into these features and you hold it within the landscape, you're treating it, you're also keeping it from overwhelming the stormwater systems, and so issues with flooding. So the systems don't even work like they used to. So anywhere that we have an opportunity to put the water into the ground and hold it there, it's going to help with water quality and it's going to help with flooding. And if we can make it beautiful, then that's even more.
Cape Canaveral isn't afraid to be a change maker, and to do that you need to get a talented team of experts together to pool resources and understand the problems that you have at hand. So having a team of partners like we've had for this particular project, which was including the city 15 partners, which is the largest grant partnership we've ever had, that has really allowed us to explore a lot of options that can bring in talented individuals from many different sectors.
Since day one, when the plants were put in, we've seen an increase in the number of bees and butterflies coming to the site, and that just shows that it's a haven for all of these species that maybe didn't previously have a place in order to go in order to get the food and shelter that they need. So having this rain garden here helps the biodiversity not only within the rain garden but also within the city itself. So it's a haven for all these different species and just helps to show why this type of infrastructure is important for all kinds of species, not only pollinators, but birds, squirrels, everything else that's coming to this area.
Continuous monitoring of environmental parameters is super important, specifically to kind of gauge how, like a project like this previously, before that, how it can improve the water quality and the various environmental parameters. So like for our auto sampler, we're going to be collecting the stormwater runoff before it comes into the rain garden and after. So we can kind of see whether the nitrogen and phosphorus concentrations will increase or decrease, hopefully decrease. But continuous measurements of environmental sensors helps us determine whether what we're doing is actually impacting and improving the environment.
We participated in the National Science Foundation project here in the city of Cape Canaveral by flying drones over the city to map the city. We took pictures, made an orthomosaic map with a level of detail about down to 3/4 of an inch per pixel, which is about 25 times better than what you would find online for something like Google Earth. Also with our drones, we carried LiDAR, light detection and ranging. We flew over the Veterans Park area and the central presidential streets and mapped it down to about 3/4 of an inch as well for elevation. That creates a point cloud, and then we developed something called a digital elevation model. And with that digital elevation model, we can use software tools and then add water to the city, flood it, see where it goes, and that can be used to help make decisions as to what kind of construction should occur to mitigate the water in an environmentally good way.
Our role really started with a vulnerability assessment way back almost 5 years ago, and that led to other projects like the Presidential Streets Master Plan, and coincidentally or subsequently this project with NSF, which is to implement green stormwater infrastructure as a demonstration project. It's really important to have the policy backing green infrastructure, specifically in Florida where we have a lot of flooding, a lot of extreme weather events. It's really important to match the infrastructure with the policy.
So the city has big plans in the future for replicating this project across other areas of the community that deal with flood issues. We would like to scale it to meet the demands of certain areas of the community. It doesn't necessarily have to be this big everywhere, but we do think by adding several more of these in strategic locations, we can mitigate and adapt to flooding both now and in the future to become more future ready.
So much of our community are veterans or families of veterans. And I feel it's important to recognize them, to give them this space as an honor, and to reflect on what it means and what veterans have been willing to offer for our freedoms.
To a veteran, to have an area that recognizes their service, whether they've been in service a couple of years or 30 years, it's something that when they come to a part like this, they reflect on and remember that what they've done for the country, and all more so what the veterans that they've known throughout the years. It's a place for them to come and reflect on that.